Because every time in history that there's been this huge bureaucratic thing that everyone just thinks will blow over, some dude or woman with a big mouth with an alternative opinion goes, that's enough.
For a long time, I felt the army let me down, but the answer is it's life. Sometimes you have everything and it just gets taken from you. And it's how you respond to it. You can either be the fool or you can be the hero. So.
And that's to my last point. You got to take the leap.
There's a quote, Kevin, from your CFO, John Knox. And he said, "We are honest, we are flexible, and we care." How did it feel to hear someone say that about your team?
Yeah, I'm always amazed at the people that have raised their hand and said, "I want to come and work with you and for you." That they do it, honestly. Even to this day, when people say, you know, you guys are up to something that's really good and I want to be a part of it. And so every time I see that, I don't know, I'm grateful. It has a tremendous positive impact on me because I realize, man, we really must be up to something good, because when people that are high quality like John is, that means something. So it's surprising, it's thrilling. I like it.
Seems like you care about John.
I do, very much.
Why do you care about John?
I care about John because, well, I guess at the most basic level, he's a human being that has decided to join our team and be part of what we're up to. But John, he's a guy that I like to be around, honestly. And I like the interactions that we have. I like the way that, interestingly, that I feel when I'm around him. I like that he's willing to shoot straight with me. I like that he is very good at his job. There's a whole bunch of things. And I watched John from afar before he came to work with us and for us. And I thought, if ever this guy could come and do this. And then once he became a part of us, it was even better than I thought.
Right. And is someone like John special?
Yes, absolutely.
What's special about him?
Everybody that works with us is special. And again, we try to describe a common vision and a common mission, and we're trying to find our tribe of people that want to come and join that tribe and accomplish the mission and vision that we're after. John is part of that crowd.
There's a quote from a really controversial figure in your journal that you've got, or your odyssey that you're putting together. And it says something, similar to Ensign Harkins. Why the fuck isn't the stripe light on? Did you make your fucking rounds? This is a Coast Guard cutter and no one knows it because the fucking stripe light is not on. Who is Max Burns and why is he important?
He's really important because leadership is not just about the good experiences, but about the bad ones. He was a really tough guy. He had very high standards, and he had no toleration for mistakes. And on that particular night, in that particular situation, didn't do something that I was supposed to do, and he noticed it, and he, I guess, corrected me in a very harsh and intense kind of way. And I remember that incident, even though it was, I don't even know how long, close to 40 years ago, like it was yesterday. Just how it made me feel, how it made me want to improve, how it made me want to learn from that. I mean, I was horrified, terrified in the moment. But, upon reflection afterwards, first of all, he was right. I don't necessarily agree with that style of leadership, and I learned that. And I think that's what you learn when you experience hard things and good things. You learn how to do it right. You learn what you like. You learn what your predispositions are, and you learn how not to do it as well. So that was a pivotal learning moment for me.
Are you still scared of Max?
No, not anymore.
What did you like about him?
I liked that he was good at his job. I liked that he liked being at sea, and I wanted to be at sea with him. I liked his appreciation for custom and tradition of the seagoing service that I was a part of. And so that part I liked very much.
Right. If he was here, what would you say to him?
If I were to see him today,
Right now.
I would say, let's go have a beer and talk about the old times. And I would want to talk to him about that incident and find out how he's doing and hear about his life.
Right. It sounds like you are fond of the sea.
Absolutely am, yes.
Why do you think that is?
Yeah, that's really interesting. When you're out at sea, you feel, you can feel very small and insignificant. But at the same time, you realize that the God that created this amazing expanse that's around you is also the God that that is here intervening in your life in ways that you don't even begin to know. So it's an interesting, it's quiet, it's peaceful, sometimes it's rough and nasty and you're hanging on for dear life, and other times it's flat calm. And all of that just sort of penetrates to the core, for me anyway, and I love very much being out there.
Is there any particular stage that the sea is in that you love the most?
There's a story where, no, I like it all. I like it all. I mean, there's a story that I've written about where I was on a ship and we were anchored, and it was, we call it flat ass calm, FAC. And that's very, very uncommon at sea, because to have a totally flat sea with no ripples, no wind, no rolling waves of any kind is very uncommon. And there was one night where we were out there and it was just like the ship was sitting on glass, and it was as flat as can be, and it was amazing. It was a spiritual experience, honestly.
How often do you think about that moment?
I think about it a lot. I mean, to characterize it, it routinely comes up, especially when I look out and see the water. That's something that comes to mind.
One of the things you wrote was that the world isn't interested in the storms you encountered, but whether or not you brought in the ship.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
That means that honestly, most people who don't know you, they don't know what you've been through, they don't know what you're going through. And honestly, that they're just not interested. You know, if you're trying to accomplish something big, and a lot of times the only thing they'll see is the end result, or they'll see after you've made significant progress, and sometimes they will jump to the conclusion that, boy, it was easy for you to get there, or boy, that came easy to you, or you just sort of fell into that. And none of that stuff could be further from the truth. I mean, you know as well as I do, in order to do anything worthwhile, it takes time, it takes effort, it takes thought. You're taking risks, you're pouring your heart and soul into it, and it's not easy. And so when people say that, you just accept it. You just say, okay, they don't know, and I can't. It's not worth my breath to tell them what it took to get to where you are. And so, because they don't care, they just like the results that they're seeing.
There is nothing more important than people at Harkcon. You made a statement here that a lot of people make.
Mm-hmm.
Why do people believe you when you say that?
I think because we show it, because we're authentic, not only in our words but in our actions.
What is it about you, though?
I think that's it. When I'm talking to people that are a part of our company or who are thinking about becoming part of our company, I'll try to manage their expectations from the very beginning. You know, this is what it's going to be like. This is what you're going to experience. We're not perfect. We do a lot of stuff right. We make mistakes. When we make the mistakes and become aware of them, we work very quickly to correct them. And so we're not perfect, and if you have that expectation, however, we do have very much a family feel, and if you're willing to lean in, we're willing to do the same, and we'll go on this journey together.
So do you really know why people believe you?
No, I guess now that you push a few layers down, I think everybody makes their own individual decisions, but I don't think I've really ever asked anybody that question. I just know that they're here, and I know that they appreciate being here.
Why do you think you haven't asked?
Why haven't I asked? I don't know. We're busy doing the work, getting it done, and I haven't stopped to say, why are you here? I don't know. That's a good question.
One thing you said was that men on fishing vessels were the most impressive people I've ever encountered. These were real men, rugged, tough, smart, technologically savvy, and hardworking. They were totally in tune to the weather and could withstand one of the most physical environments of any profession. What have you learned from fishermen?
I've learned a lot from fishermen. But before I was exposed to that world, I think a lot of people can appreciate sort of an intellectual pursuit where somebody has put the brain work into accomplishing something through their intellectual acumen, and then there's other people who are known more for the physicality of what they do. But the commercial fishermen are a blend of both. They're smart as hell. And the thing is, if you ran into them in a bar, you'd have the best conversation with them about who they are and what they do. But you wouldn't realize. Well, I'll speak for myself. I didn't realize how smart they were. I knew physically that
Why didn't you?
I think I just sort of put them in a category in my brain. That, these were hardworking, sort of blue collar, out there doing the king's business in their world. But I didn't realize how truly savvy they were at what they did until I was out there spending time with them at sea. That was amazing.
How long did it take you to notice?
I think I started noticing it right away. When I started doing boardings at sea, and I realized in conversations with them, I thought, wow, yeah, these people are way more impressive than I realized they were. And I want to get to know them better than I ever do. So it was fun. That was a fun journey.
If you could see one of these fishermen again, which one would it be and why?
Which one would it be?
Yeah, is there anyone that sticks out?
Yeah, there was probably when we were boarding a scalloper one day. I don't.
What's a scalloper?
A scalloper is a commercial fishing vessel that has these big, huge metal rakes that they drop onto the ocean floor, and they drag it behind them at a slow bell, and they scoop up scallops in a chain link bag, and then they hoist it up on deck. They pull the line, and the scallops fall out.
Right.
And then on every scalloper, there's a shucking house that's off to the side somewhere, and there's a guy that's in there shucking the scallops and taking the meats and bagging them. And I walked because they're required to have the meats be a particular size in order to keep it. They're too small, they're supposed to throw them back. And this guy was shucking, and if you've seen somebody who's really good at shucking, they do it, it's like poetry in motion. They're so quick, they're so accurate. I walked in and I was just watching him, and just as I walked in, he took one of the scallops and he flipped it up in the air, and it toward me, and I caught it. And I was pretty green at this point in my boarding career, and I didn't quite know what to do. And then he shucked the next scallop and he threw it in his mouth, and then he just said to me, "Eat it." And so I said, okay. So I ate it, and I don't know, it just made an impression on me, like, okay, here's a guy who's challenging to find out who I am, what I'm made of, and am I willing to do something that's gonna create a bond with him. And he smiled, never said a word, and just went right back to shucking, and I continued on with my boarding. I don't know, that moment stuck with me.
When did you work out that you were a founder?
I think when that first dawned on me is when I commanded a ship. I just enjoyed that experience. It was, I realized that the camaraderie with a small group of people that had a mission to accomplish together, and the role that I was playing in that was something that impacted me at a very young age. And I thought, okay, I think I'd like to do more of this. So that was sort of the realization of leading small teams, heading in directions. That was very neat for me. And then I said, well, after I retired from the Coast Guard, let's go do it. Let's go do it for real in business and see what we can accomplish.
Were you irritated about problems?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Which problem irritated you the most?
The one that irritated me most, I probably can't really talk about, but I think that one of the biggest challenges that founders have is winning over the hearts and minds of the people who are in business with them or partners, trying to get everybody moving in the same direction. That's a challenge because people are different, their personalities are different, and you have to modify your approach. It's a different leadership approach with every single person, and so that was a challenge. And the more you do it, the better you get, but it's hard at first.
What have you got wrong?
I have lockers full of mistakes that I've made, big
What's the
mistakes.
worst thing?
The worst thing that I've done, honestly, I probably have failed marriage. That's.
Sounds like you're on a journey, Kevin.
Yes.
Where are you heading to?
So I call it my game plan that I took the time to write out. The game plan sort of has what the major objectives that I want to accomplish in my life. And honestly, I don't really care much about the actual outcome, because what I've learned is when you start down a path and you have an idea of what the outcome is going to be, very often you find out that life happens, things pop up that you never saw coming, and it changes the trajectory a little bit. And so it's more about waking up every day. We have to decide, each one of us individually, in this 24-hour period that I have in this day, what is it that I can accomplish that helps me fulfill the goals, the direction, sort of the mission, the purpose of my life. And so that's, for me, it's more about the journey. It's not about a destination. And so the journey is to move in the directions that I want to go in, and wake up every day and do my best to get there.
Right. Do you think you're a hero?
No, I think I'm a very average person with average intelligence who, for some reason, has decided to lean in, and I think the reason for that is because of some of the exposures that I've had over time. And one of the things that I've learned about myself is I'm not afraid to try things. I'm not afraid to go for it, and so I do. And sometimes it works out, and sometimes it doesn't.
Are you on a hero's journey?
I don't think so. I don't think I'm on a hero's journey. I think I'm on a journey. I think I'm on my own life journey. I'll let others decide if it's a hero's journey.
What are you worried about the most on this journey?
So that's interesting. It's changed over time. If you had asked me this question 10 years ago, I probably would have told you that I'm worried about failing. I'm worried about failing at whatever it is that I'm choosing to take on. but I have evolved, and I'm not there. I'm not afraid of failure anymore. I mean, I've failed so many times that what's one more failure. But what I really am afraid of is if I go to bed at night and I don't think that I've done my best for that day. That to me is, because especially as you get older, you think, I only have so many sunrises left in my life. And so what am I going to do with this one that I have right now in this moment? Am I going to do something with it that's meaningful and purposeful and moving me forward and moving the sphere of influence that I circulate in forward, or am I going to waste my time doing something that...
Who taught you to fear failure?
Oh gosh, I don't think it's any individual person, unless it was somebody that just came down hard on me for something that I didn't do right. So I would say that it was. That's a really good question.
Did your father teach you it?
No, I wouldn't say that. I would not say that my father taught me to be afraid of failure. Not at all. I think it wasn't until I sort of got out of, until I got out of, kind of the home environment up through high school and started experiencing the world outside of my family, that feedback would come my way that would say, you're a failure. You didn't do this right. You didn't pass that class. You didn't handle that situation right. And so I think maybe it's probably self-interpretation, but nobody ever came up to me and said, you're a failure. And I'm going to teach you that you're a failure. That kind of thing never happened for me.
When did you stop worrying about failing and you started to enjoy life? What happened?
I would say, and I'm almost, and now embarrassed is not the right word, because I'm trying to constantly learn and grow, and I hope everybody is. Probably in the last decade.
What happened?
I think more exposure to the world through reading and personal development, through interactions with different sets of people. I think business. You're afraid of failure before you fail, and then you fail, and then you realize, wow, I survived that, and I can therefore continue on. And so I think you learn through the process of failing that it's not the end of the world.
So do you know what actually shook you out of
it? I don't think it was any one incident. That I think it was a series of things over time that, through that repetitive process of trying, falling, failing, getting up. For me, the bigger thing is get up. That's a real key. Is get knocked down, get up, knock down again, get up. And when you get up, don't just get up, keep going. Get up and say, what can I take away from this? How can I learn from this? And so that's fairly new in my life. When I say fairly new, I mean within the last decade of going through that. And now I'm gonna fail at all kinds of stuff.
Did you learn it at the right time?
Sometimes I think I learned it too late, and I wish I'd learned it earlier. So I don't think there's ever a wrong time for it. I mean, at least I've learned it, but I wish I'd learned it earlier.
How would you use? What word would you use to describe your character?
I would say that I'm pretty steady.
Right. And how do you think your family would describe it?
Depends on who in my family you ask.
What about your partner?
Yeah, I think my father would say that he's proud. That's what I think. Yeah.
You're doing some work around the concept of leaders and characters. What is someone's character?
Someone's character is the internal virtues traits that sort of guide their behavior, that guide their decision making, that guide their internal fortitude on how they interact with the world and with other people. And I think character can be developed over time. You know, some people believe that character is sort of when you get past, I don't know what the magic age is. Psychologists could probably tell you. You get to a certain age and your character is developed, and that's what it is. And maybe that's true. I'm not going to get into the scientific piece of that. But do I think people can learn and grow and behave differently as a result of a true desire to develop their character? You bet I do. In fact, I know that it can happen because it's happened with me personally.
Do you think people think building character is still important?
I think there's very few things in life. I think there's very few things in human interaction. I think there are very few things in societal governance, honestly, that's more important than character. I think character is critical.
Are you the only person that thinks so?
No, I don't think so. Although I think less people care about it today than 100 years ago.
And why are you so invested in helping character win again?
So I am a huge believer in this amazing thing called America. And when you study the history of how this country was founded and the principles of societal governance that were put into place way back then, I call it a perfect storm of the collective brain came together and decided to try this experiment. And when you look at that, having learned, the founders of our country having learned it from all over the place meaning the rest of the world, that they could read about at that time or personally experience through their own travel, that many of the founding principles that were put into place were very much chosen because of the character attributes that were part of it. And so, and I think that has been now replicated a number of times around the world, but I would like to be a part of trying to maintain that and trying to improve that. There's always room for improvement, and sometimes you kind of wander off the path a little bit and then you can come back. But if I can play a role in helping within my little world, within my little bubble, my little sphere of influence, if I can help people learn, grow, get better at good citizenry, at their own personal development, then I'd like to play a role in that, because this is worth preserving.
What happens if you don't complete your quest for character?
Well,
doesn't seem to be many people talking about it.
Yeah, if you don't pay attention to what's going on, if you don't maintain the situational awareness of things that are happening around you, next thing you know, you're off the track in an extreme way, and that can lead to, I mean, there's a thing called mob mentality. It's real. And if the mob just sort of gets caught up in something that is destructive, then that can lead to really bad things.
Do you think character is an antidote to mob hysteria?
I'm sorry, I missed the question.
Do you think a good character is the antidote to mob hysteria?
I think it's a really important part of it. Yes, absolutely. Because good character withstands the storms, the direction of the social sort of mob flowing to and fro, based on the flavor of the day. Character is the giant oak tree standing in the middle, withstanding all of that. And
why did you pick an oak tree?
Oak trees are amazing. They're straight and true. They're strong. They make massive ships out of them. They provide amazing shade. So yeah, they're amazing trees.
Straight and true. You've been a CEO and a and a business owner and a founder for a long time, longer than most. How have you been able to keep it straight for so long?
Keep it straight. That's debatable, but I would say something, or I guess I would reemphasize something that I've said already, and that is get up. And again, every single day you're going to get knocked down in one way or another. Something's going to happen that you didn't see, you didn't expect, you don't necessarily deserve, or maybe you do deserve because of what you've done, or what you've said, or decision that you've made. More important than any of that is when you get knocked down, get up and keep going time and time and time again. And if you learn from what it is that you've been through, then there's going to be an improved trajectory over time. And so that's...
Is there times where you've been knocked down but you didn't get back up?
Ultimately, no. Not so far anyway.
Did sometimes it take a long time?
Oh yeah, definitely.
What was the longest time it took?
Oh gosh, probably months, I would say. Yeah, something would happen, and there was a period of my life where I was so down, I would just kind of go in this downward spiral. And I'd eventually, fortunately, I've been able to arrest that at some point, or I got so low, so down. I'm like, holy shit, I gotta stop this. I gotta get out of this. And that's usually when I said, okay, it's time to get up. Time to get up and keep going.
And if I was new to developing my character and I wanted to work on it, where would you tell me to start?
Well, I would tell you to start by being exposed to what is good character, and really work to, first of all, identify what that is, and then what does that actually mean. And once you understand the book definition of what I would perceive as good character, then it would be, now how do I model this in my behavior over time? And how does that mean I interact with the world? How do I make decisions? How do I respond to somebody in a way that demonstrates me as that oak tree standing there being steady over time?
Where do you think the people go that have bad character? What happens to them?
What happens to them? Are you talking about in the afterlife, or are you talking about...
However you want to answer it. What do you think happens to what has happened to bad characters around you?
Well, I would say that they ultimately end up living an unfulfilling life that makes them not necessarily feel good about themselves, because they know internally. I think we all have an internal moral compass to some degree, and if you repeatedly demonstrate bad character, I don't know, I think you're living in hell, I guess, is probably a good way to say it.
Interesting. Which Lord of the Rings character do you relate to the most?
I don't know, because I'm not a Lord of the Rings fan. So.
Oh my gosh. What are you a fan of?
Gosh, I'm a fan of pro football.
Right.
Yeah.
Who's your favorite player?
Or
who was your favorite team?
My favorite team right now, the team that I root for, is the Washington Commanders.
Why is that?
Just because they're the local team.
Right.
No, that's not. It's more than that. Because I like Joe Gibbs. I don't know if you know Joe Gibbs, but he's.
What do you like about Joe Gibbs?
There is a man of character.
What does he do?
Everything about him is character, and I was attracted to that from the very beginning. If you know his history, he brought the hard work. He brought the internal fortitude. He brought the do the right thing in the toughest of circumstances. He brought the system. He brought all of these things and put them into place. Surrounded himself with a group of people that were like-minded with him, and he said, "Let's get after it." And then he picked that up and set it down in NASCAR. and produce the same kind of results as he did as the head coach of a football team. It's amazing. It's an amazing story. And he's a man of faith. He has core beliefs that align with mine. He's a man of character.
Do you think he inspires hope?
Absolutely, yes, I do. Yeah.
Cool.